Well, businesses have begun feeling the impact of the coronavirus pandemic, with governments making plans to announce stimulus measures and tax holidays for the private sector. Now, auditing firm KPMG in Ghana has been studying the trend and implications. In Ghana, for instance, the government is making a request to the International Monetary Fund for some rapid credit facility to support the economy in this trying time. How about the private sector businesses? How do they adjust to ensure that the disruptions do not affect them significantly? Joining me in studio to explore these matters, senior partner at KPMG, Anthony Sapon. Thanks very much for your time tonight. I'm glad to have you in the studio. The coronavirus wreaking havoc everywhere. And so let's first of all start with this study that you have conducted. Tell me much more about what you discovered.
Thank you very much. The coronavirus, as we all know, is one of the major disruptive pandemic that has hit the world in recent history. And it is important that we all, individuals, households, and businesses, are fully aware of it, act responsibly, and for those of us who have opportunity to be in leadership and management, take appropriate and what we call proportionate actions to manage the effect. What KPMG has done is to look at a study of the impact of the virus of the 10 major economies in the world.
Okay.
The trend of that study, what it draws out, is also has key implications for all economies, and particularly for those of us in Africa and Ghana.
Okay.
And in terms of that study, the key point that it looked at is what are the economic ramifications or relationship between the coronavirus impact and the effect on the economy. And if you look at it that way, then the real question is, how should businesses and households respond in a manner that they can minimize the impact of the coronavirus.
Also, which were the countries that you studied?
Okay, so the major countries are the top 10 economies in the world, including the US, UK, Germany, France, Netherlands, China, which was the original epicenter, Italy, and the rest of the 10 economies in the world. And the major point that is coming out of it, and which all of us should be aware of, is that there are three major things that we need to be aware that the coronavirus is affecting the global economy. And it is one of the only crises that is affecting in that way. One is what we call the supply chain. Two is the demand area. And three is the market, both logistic and financial. And the effect is that with the impact of the coronavirus, what you do have, and I'll try and relate it in the situation in Ghana, for example, we do have a lot of imports that goes into our import substitution production.
Yeah.
Now, if you are importing from a country that businesses have slowed down because of the virus, then your inputs already are limited. That will mean that it's only a matter of time. Productive sectors that are import dependent will go down. Right. If you also come locally, if you slow down on businesses, and even as we hear in the news that there could be possible lockdown, that also then demonstrates that locally we could be having shortage of supply inputs. And that in itself will affect the running of business themselves.
We'll come down to what this means for Ghana and how we should prepare. But globally, do you also agree, KPMG, that we are headed into a recession?
Definitely, from the study that has been done, and I look at it from two angles. One is the effect on debt and how it affects the growth of businesses.
Right.
And when debt is stifled, how it also affects businesses. Generally, people will go for credit to enable them expand businesses, make investments, and that leads to growth. And that way, we are able to increase the productive sector of the world economy. Vice versa, in a situation of this pandemic, where debt is going to be stifled, because liquidity is going to be, because production and demand is slowed down. So access to debt is going to be slowed down. What it then do is that it reverses the trend of growth and investment. People are cautious to do investment, they slow down. So once they slow down investment and productive activities, what you have is a global effect, is that growth itself is also diminished. And that's the reason why one can reasonably predict that there could be
a global recession, and that affects us here in Ghana. For smaller economies like Ghana, what do you think the impact would be?
Right. So the smaller countries like Ghana, you have to look at the impact from multi dimensions. First of all, you have to look at it from individuals and households. So if you look at Ghana, we do have a large number of our businesses in the small and medium credit sector.
Right.
And these businesses do not have sufficient capital. They rely on debt to pay. Now, if you can imagine that a business goes down, it's not able to produce and sell for about 1 month, 2 months, its cash flow is stifled. It's not able to pay its debt. So immediately, access to expansion of business is slowed down. It's besaddled with cost because as employees, it has other costs that is running. So immediately you hit them with running costs. So that alone, together with added cost of borrowing, will affect small businesses and households. Then you look at it from the government side. Heavily part of our national budget is run on domestic revenue. So it's businesses that are going to pay taxes from their profits are not able to generate sufficient profits and they are making losses. That also could imply that the projections that we have on our national revenue then will also be impacted. And that in turn could then also affect government's general plans and budget that they've done for the year.
So what do you suggest a government should do at this point?
Right. So from the study that we did, there's a very interesting relationship between managing, bringing the pandemic down to a managed level and its effect on the economics. There's actually an inverse relationship from that study. Because what it means is that if countries that have been able to manage successfully the spread of the virus is to take drastic and critical actions of lockdown in those situations. Now, those activities then mean that you are shutting down businesses. And particularly even in Ghana, we have a lot of our population who are on daily wage activities. So if you lock down, their income is locked up. What it then means is that you'll be able to resolve the corona, but you have a huge economic impact on individuals, on businesses and economy at large. So the real call on government, and I think to this date, the government has been very cautious and has exercised some good decisions, is to really balance the actions that they take to curb the spread of the virus while at the same time managing the effect of it. So just to finish on that, one is to ensure that in terms of impact on credit, and Bank of Ghana has already announced some measures from monetary policy side. They have reduced the base rate, which means that the amount by which businesses borrow from the banks could also see a downward trend. And that's a good cushion from monetary policy side. They've also announced some reduction in the reserves of banks. That is, every deposit that you make, banks are meant to keep a certain portion as a cover. Bank of Ghana has reduced it, so banks can have sufficient or additional liquidity able to give out to people who need additional credit to support them.
We just have about 30 seconds, so sorry about that. And so let's come to the question of how businesses can minimize the impact on the operations. What can they do?
It's important that for each business you understand the impact on your business, and there are certain critical steps that you must take. One, you need to have a governance arrangement in place where you have a team that centrally is looking at the impact of the virus on your business, monitoring it and ensuring that you understand what is happening. Number two, your people are your critical assets. So the action that you take in this time is to ensure first and foremost the safety and well-being of your people. Then number three, you must continue to monitor your IT, because in this period, other people also take advantage, especially when people are working away from the office. They take advantage and they can attack your system. So your IT security is important. Then overall, continuous monitoring and even post-monitoring after the virus is over is key to see how your business can be revamped into normal situations.
Thank you so much, Anthony Sapon. You're a senior partner at KPMG Ghana. A great perspective you've shared with us. Thanks for coming in studio.